So let's jump right into it. First thing we want to do is open an existing file. So how do you do that? You go to File, Open, and then you start searching your folders until you find the file that you want to open. Then you click on that file and press Open. And it's as simple as that. After that, you start working. Now, let's exit out of this. I'm just going to press this X button right here. And now we're back to square one. Let's say I wanted to open up a file that I don't have on my computer. Let's say I want to open up a file that is on Google. So the first thing I'll do is find that file. Then I'll right click and copy image. Make sure I press copy image and not any of these other things like copy image address. It's an easy common mistake. And I want you to look at the dimensions of this image. Right now, right here, it says 2000 by 1334. So now if I go to Photoshop, and instead of going to File Open, I'm going to go to File New. And right here, I see that on this clipboard, it says it has the same exact dimensions as before, which means that Photoshop basically said, hey, you just copied something and I'm pretty sure you want to paste it in Photoshop. So I'm just going to go ahead and conveniently make the file those exact dimensions. So let's go ahead and create. So now in here is a blank file. So how do I get my image? Well, I copied it, so now I have to paste it. So let's go to Edit and then Paste. And voila, it's a perfect fit. Now that we have that out of the way, let's exit out of this. And we don't want to save it, but we could save it, but we don't want to. The next thing I want to talk about is what do you do when you're creating a brand new file. So I'm just going to click New File. And I want you to notice that you have various presets. We're not going to talk about all of them. Actually, we're only going to talk about one of them, and that's print. So we have letter and we have tabloid. Letter is 8.5 by 11 inches, and it is the basic paper size for the common printer. Tabloid is also pretty common. It's also, fun fact, it's also the smallest poster size that you can have printed. So yeah, now let's look over here. The width and the height, these are our dimensions, and they will differ depending on the units. So right now we're in inches. So if I change my unit from inches to centimeters, notice that my width and height changed. But that doesn't mean the size, the actual size changed. It's just that I'm looking at it from a different side of the ruler, so to speak. So if I go to points, it looks like a big difference, but it's actually the same size. I'm just measuring it with a different unit. So just keep that in mind. Now let's look at orientation. Orientation, this is portrait versus landscape, is very self-explanatory. Do you want your paper or your artboard to stand tall, or do you want it to stand more flat or long? Now, resolution, this is pretty straightforward. Resolution represents your PPI, or your pixels per inch. And this is by default usually 72. But if you want to take it up a notch and do like I do and just shoot it up to 300, then that means that your file is going to have a higher resolution, which is great. But you also have to keep in mind that means your file size is going to be larger as well. Now, color mode. Color mode is important. If you are working with something that you want to print, hence we have letter selected, then RGB is the wrong color mode for you, because RGB is made for things that are going to be coming from a screen. So the risks that you take by choosing the wrong color mode is that if I did this in RGB and I printed it, the colors might be slightly off. And in some cases, it's not that big of a deal, but in other cases, it's a huge deal. So Make sure that you choose the right color mode. So for print, we wouldn't choose RGB, we would choose CMYK. And to put it in the most basic terms, CMYK are basically your ink cartridges that you have in your printer. We have cyan, magenta, yellow, and key. Key is black, cyan is like this blue color, and magenta is like a pinkish red. So that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and create this new file.